So our today's topic is thermodynamics. So we'll start with some basics. What are the laws of thermodynamics? In this lecture, we will cover the theoretical part of thermodynamics, and in the part 2, we will cover all the numericals which are basically asked in the exams. What is thermodynamics? Thermodynamics basically means the study of transformation of heat into other forms, or vice versa. You can say vice versa. So this is known as thermodynamics. We'll start with laws. There is a law which is known as zeroth law of thermodynamics. There are actually three laws. First is zeroth, second is first law, and third is second law. So these are the three laws. So what is zeroth law's statement of thermodynamics? It states that if two systems are in equilibrium with the third system, suppose if it has T temperature, it also has T temperature, and B and C also has T temperature. So this states that A and B will also be in same equilibrium. So that is zeroth law of thermodynamics. So this is all about zeroth law of thermodynamics, that if two systems are equilibrium to the third system, then they both will also be in equilibrium. Now our second point is first law of thermodynamics. What is our first law? Our first law states that the total amount of heat given to a system is basically converted into a total heat given is converted into internal energy, it will convert it into internal energy, plus there will be some work done on the system. So this is all about the first law of thermodynamics. It's basically states that conservation of energy. It depends on the conservation of energy. Fine. Now we will go a little deep into what is total heat, what is internal energy, and what is work done. So first we will cover what is internal energy. Internal energy is the basically energy of a system, internally when it increase some temperature or increase some energy, that is known as internal energy of a system. There are two types of internal energy. First is kinetic internal energy. Kinetic internal energy, that is EK, and other is potential internal energy. There is two types of internal energy, that is EK and EP. So U internal energy is addition of EK plus EP. It is not asked in question, it is just for the basic theoretical purpose. That what basically internal energy. Internal energy means when you give some heat to a system, then its molecules will gain some part of this heat, and they will increase their velocity, or the vibrational velocity of the molecule increases. They will move fastly inside the system without changing its shape, or without doing some external work on the outer system. They will absorb this heat energy and convert some part of this heat energy into the by gaining the kinetic velocity of each and every molecule. In this, vibration will increase. Vibration will increase. So this is all just simple. Internal energy means the energy which increases the velocity of the molecules is known as internal energy of that system. Next comes out to be work done. What is work done? Work done is simply when a body work done, we have when a force is applied to some and makes the object to move at some distance is known as work done. Work done is force into distance, the force into that displacement. So whenever a system moves, like when we ignite a piston into the cylinder, there is a ignition over here. This piston basically moves downwards. So actually this heat which we are giving to the system is converting into some work done. At work done is done on the system, and the formula of work done is P into delta V. Means pressure will be the same. The pressure can also change. In that case there is like another phenomena, but here we will consider the pressure is the piston is moving only at that extent where the pressure remains constant. So it is moving in like that to keeping the pressure of the system constant. So this is when pressure is constant and there is change in volume, then it is known to be that the work is done on the system. And if this value is negative P delta V, that is, this indicates work is done by the system. That is work done. When work done is positive, negative, this means work is done by the system. So, and what is next? What is heat? Heat we mean that is total heat energy. And if we give some system, if we give any system a heat, that will increase its internal energy plus some work can be done. It depends. Like if this system is constrained, that there is no change in volume is there, so this definitely means that this heat which is denoted by Q is totally converting into the U, means it is just increasing the temperature of system. No work is done by the system. Okay, so this is all which we will cover in detail about the first law of thermodynamics. It's all revolve around this equation, that is heat is equals to internal energy plus work done by the system or on the system. It depends whether we are giving heat to the system or heat is taken out from the system. Like there are two parts. Suppose you can say that one is a refrigerator and one like other part is the engine. So on one system where heat is given, another system heat is taken out. So it depends how you do the questions. We'll first discuss some like theorems, you can say. So Q is equals to, or change in Q is equals to change in internal energy plus work done, P, that is delta V. This we know that. You must know that what is Cp and what is Cv. Cv is molar specific heat. I can write specific heat at constant pressure, and this is also specific heat at constant volume. So this Cv is the specific heat at molar specific heat at constant volume. This is specific heat at constant pressure. So these are the constant, because heat is given by Cp delta T. Okay, so the change, whatever the change in temperature is there, if you multiply the Cp of every material or every gas or every flame changes depending on their property. Okay, so what will be the Q? Q is written as Cp delta T. Internal energy will be written as Cv delta T, because in internal energy the volume is constant. If volume is changing, then this means at constant volume, even at constant volume, this molecule will start vibrating at faster speeds. Means volume of the gas is same, but the molecule inside this gas, inside that liquid, has gained some velocity due to the heat provided to the system. So this means it is done at constant volume. So it is written as Cv delta T plus P delta V. So from here you can understand the total heat which we have given to the system is converted into some energy of internal energy plus some work is done by the system. Fine. From here we know that PV is equals to RT for 1 mole. For 1 mole, N is equals to 1 we have placed, and if we write it as you can say P dV for smaller part is equals to RDT. That is same. And if we have taken this delta t, we can also take it as in the very smallest part for a very like small fraction of time. It will be Cp dt is equal to Cv dt plus P dV. From here we can put this in equation 1. We can put this, so it will be Cp dt is equals to Cv dt plus P dt. So dt got cancelled and it comes out to Cp Cv plus R. Sorry, it is R dt. Na? It will be R dt. It's not R. So it will be Cp plus Cv is equals to Cv plus R. So Cp minus Cv is equals to gas constant of that particular liquid or particular gas. So when we subtract Cp from Cv of that property of that gas, specific heat of that gas, it gives us the gas constant. So from here we have derived this, and now you must also be knowing Cp by Cv will be equal to gamma. This is adiabatic constant. That is adiabatic constant. It also the gamma for air is 1.4. You can write it 1.4. For the equation purpose, I'm just telling you gamma for air is 1.4. And Cp and Cp values are also known for the gas. I can write it Cv is 0.7 something and Cp is 1.1 something. So if you find this Cp, the constant Cp for air is 1.103 or something, and it is 0.714 something Cv. Now why we have taken this n is equals to 1? Because Cp we have taken as molar specific heat. Cp is, you can write is molar specific heat. Like the specific heat, the heat required like to absorb what like a gas, a 1 mole gas, whatever amount of 1 mole gas can store the heat in itself is known as molar specific heat at constant pressure. So this is already for the molar, that this means this specific heat is for the 1 mole. So that's why we have taken PV as 1 mole. Now from the diagram, if I want to explain you what is Q and what is U. Students usually confuse in Q and U. So what is the basic difference between Q and U? So this is the, suppose this is a liquid and Q is applied. You can say heat is applied. So what will be the change? P will change, V will change, or you can say if I write Q is not applied over here, let's make it more easy. Internal energy is increase. What is there? Increase in internal energy. So it will be P will be constant, V will be constant, there will be no change in V, only T plus delta T. Only temperature of the system will increase. If we say that internal energy of system has increased, only it increase the temperature of the system. But if I'll say I've given the heat to the system, I've not only increase internal energy has not increased, heat has also been given to the system. So you can say that there will be change in P plus volume has also been changed because some work has been done by the gas, by the fluid. Some work has also done. So this is known as delta V. So work is also done by the system in moving the piston or something to the outward directions. So volume has changed plus T plus delta T, you can say. So there is also increase in temperature, also some change in volume due to which work has done. So this means that there is increase in heat energy. So basically this is the difference in heat energy. In internal energy only temperature is increased, there is no change in volume. In the heat, if there is change in heat energy, this means that there is some work, definitely some work has been done. If work has not been done, then it is known as internal energy. So why there is no point in saying that heat energy has been given. If we will say that internal energy of the system has increased. So if we are saying heat energy to of system has is given or increased, so this means that there necessarily be some work has been done. We will discuss some thermodynamic processes. Like first we will take quasi-static process. if I'll draw it in PV, so it will be shown as this, like heat energy is decreased, so heat is gained by the system. So what is basically what is quasi-static process? Quasi-static process, in layman language, if I'll tell you, quasi-static processes are those processes which are carried out very slowly, like very slowly, to make the system, to keep the system at every point in equilibrium position, like whenever I feel like the system can be reversed. Okay, so it is it basically very slow process. It is very slow process to keep the system, to keep the system in equilibrium at every time. ऐसा प्रोसेस जिसको इतना स्लोली कैरी आउट किया है कि वो हमेशा इक्विलिब्रियम पे है। लाइक जब भी कोई भी हम उसके पीवी डेल्टा टी सब चीजें इक्विलिब्रियम है। इक्विलिब्रियम की चीजों में बहुत चीजें आती हैं, लाइक अब एंट्रोपी लॉस, हीट लॉस और बहुत सारी चीजें आती हैं। तो उस प्रोसेस को नॉर्मली क्वासी स्टेटिक प्रोसेस होता है। जनरली हम जो भी इस चैप्टर में पढ़ेंगे वो जनरली सारे क्वासी स्टेटिक प्रोसेसेस ही होते हैं, क्योंकि तभी हम उनकी कैलकुलेशंस डिटरमाइन कर पाते हैं। कोई भी उनमें एंट्रोपी लॉस, एंट्रोपी का इधर लॉस या हीट को जो जब हम मतलब ऐसा प्रोसेस जिसको हम अगर चाहे तो रिवर्स भी कर सकते हैं। बहुत सारे प्रोसेस जो रिवर्सिबल नहीं होते, जैसे हीट इंजन का, आपने हीट इंजन किया, उस हीट से जो एनर्जी बनाया, वो उस वर्क डन करके वो सेम हीट आप वो पेट्रोल या वो हीट एनर्जी आप डेवलप नहीं कर सकते हो। तो सेम वो प्रोसेसेस जिसको हम किसी भी टाइम पे रिवर्सिबल कर सके या उसको जो है इक्विलिब्रियम में मेंटेन कर सके, उन प्रोसेसेस को क्वासी स्टैटिक प्रोसेस बोलते हैं। और जितने भी हम मोस्टली हम न्यूमेरिकल्स करेंगे वो जनरली प्रोसेसेस क्वासी स्टैटिक ही होते हैं, तभी हम जो फॉर्मूलेज हैं वो भी उसी के अकॉर्डिंगली डिराइव्ड है। नेक्स्ट हमारा आता है आइसोथर्मल। नेक्स्ट हमारा आता है आइसोथर्मल प्रोसेस। आइसोथर्मल वो प्रोसेस होता है द प्रोसेस एट विच टेम्परेचर इज कांस्टेंट। टेम्परेचर इज कांस्टेंट, सिंपली टेम्परेचर इज कांस्टेंट। अगर मैं इसका टीएस डायग्राम बनाऊं, टीएस डायग्राम इसका रहेगा ऐसा। और अगर मैं इसका एक चीज और बताना था इसमें, अगर इसका मैं पीवी डायग्राम बनाऊंगा तो पीवी डायग्राम विल बी लाइक दिस। You can say that PV diagram will be like this. So this process is isothermal. Fine. At PV will be these all processes I am stating from high state to low state. This means in this system the pressure has been increased and volume has been increased. You can say that it depends whether heat is given or heat is taken out, but mainly when the volume increases, heat is given to the system, then only the volume has been increased, like keeping the temperature at like keeping the temperature constant. So if the temperature is constant, this means that U in this process is 0. Temperature is constant, so all the heat is converted into the work done. Fine. How to calculate the work done for the isothermal process? If you say how to calculate the work done for isothermal process, it's simply PV is equals to RT ln V2 by V1. V2 is V2 and this is V initial. V1 is V initial. This is ln, if you write it in log terms, 2.303 will be RT log V2 by V1. It can also be written in if you write in pressure term, then it will be in this form will be if I write in this form, in pressure form, RT is equals to it will be RT ln P1 by P2. I have replaced V2 by V1 as P1 by P2. Why? We know that PV, if I write PV by T, P1 V1 by T1 is equals to P2 V2 by T2. If I'll write it, if temperature is constant, both the T are same, the T got cancelled and I can write that P1 by P2 is equals to V2 by P1. From here I put the value of V2 by V1 as P1 by P2. And from where this equation has come, this is come from the gas constant. We know that PV is equals to RT for 1 mole if I'll write it. So it will be PV by T is equals to R. So R is gas constant for every gas, and R remains constant. So we can write P1 by P1 V1 by T1 equal to P2 V2 by T2, like different state of that similar gas. From here I have derived how to calculate this. This is very crucial, like P1 V1 by T1, to derive maximum numericals in the other form, like how to change the pressure form into volume form. So this is very beneficial in numerical purpose. So this is in the what basically the important question comes from isothermal part is to calculate the work done. So you have to remember this formula. If whether the change in volume is given or change in pressure is given, it doesn't matter, because you can remember the formula in both the form. But main point is it is RT. Well, R is gas constant. You know, temperature will be given because it's isothermal. Temperature will always be given in the numerical, and we just have to do log of V2 by V1. So this is how work done of isothermal process is calculated. Next part is, our third part is adiabatic process. So what is adiabatic process? Adiabatic process where there is no exchange of heat with the surrounding, means whatever work is done by the system is basically due to the internal energy of the system. It is this, and there is no heat exchange with the outer surrounding. So this means here Q value is 0. That Q, no exchange of heat, so there is no heat is given or taken out from the system. Whatever the internal energy of system we have, internal energy will be equal to the work done by the system or on the system, whatever it's. If internal energy decrease, so this means work done is on the system. If internal energy increase, so this means work is done on by the system to increase its internal energy. So its work done depends only on its internal energy. And now how we basically calculate these equations. First I'll draw a PV diagram of both these diagrams. See, PV, if I'll draw, isothermal is this, adiabatic is this. This is isothermal. Remember this graph, isothermal has less, you can say, angle, and adiabatic has more tan theta. Adiabatic, it has, this adiabatic is more slope and isothermal is less slope. You can say that more slope. For your MCQ purpose, I've drawn this diagram. And if I'll draw this in TS diagram, TS is very easy. TS, you can say that isothermal will be this and adiabatic will be this. See, adiabatic in TS diagram mainly it is written as isentropic, where there is no change in entropy, no change in, we will revise this in second law. I'm just telling you for just explaining graph earlier from that part. There is no change in entropy. This means isentropic. Isentropic is basically the reversible adiabatic. Okay, the adiabatic which is reversible is known as isentropic itself. So generally don't get confused between adiabatic and isentropic. They both are similarly mostly the same from the numerical point of purpose. It is reversible adiabatic. It simply means that reversible adiabatic means this internal energy of work done can get exchanged together with itself, whatever we want in whatever form. So this is in no X, and right, no X, the process in which no exchange of heat with the surroundings, you can say, right? Fine. Our fourth is, you can say, isobaric process. What is isobaric process? Isobaric process which are conducted at constant pressure, So it's normally the process conducted at constant pressure are known as isobaric process. So how will you draw this? If I draw this in PV diagram, it is just simply like this, pressure will remain as constant. And our fifth is isochoric process. Mainly questions come from adiabatic and isothermal. These process questions also come, but in the very similar question, like suppose this will draw isobaric process, and it will say what is the work done. In the question, it will for the like conceptual question, it can ask what is the work done in isochoric. So just a tricky question. So everybody knows that in isochoric there is, that is known as the process conducted at constant volume. So this means that there is no change in volume. So this means the work done to be 0 in this process. This means if I'll write in PV diagram, it will be like this. The volume is constant. This is the process. This is the process. What will be the TS diagram for isochoric if I'll draw? The TS diagram for isochoric will be like this. It is isochoric. Fine. I think up to this I'm clear to you. If I'll write this is isochoric, and this will be connected, this will be isobaric. So here, who has the more slope? Isochoric has more slope, you can say. By slope wise you can diagram, just draw the isochoric as more sloped. Fine. These are important diagrams. In this, the question can directly come and represent here. But what type of questions basically come? In the question, they will give you from A and B point in TS. In one is isobaric and one is isochoric process. So state whether which of these is isochoric. So you know that the more slope part is isochoric. So that will be isochoric process, and B will be isobaric process. So that is basically isochoric and isobaric in TS comes, and isothermal and adiabatic in PV diagrams come. So these two type of graph comparisons can come. Remember these two graphs. So what is the work done in adiabatic process? I'll say what is the work done in adiabatic process. So if I'll go through, in isobaric we have seen, the work done in isochoric is 0. In work done isobaric is P delta V. We have covered for both the process, we have covered. If I'll go into the back, for isothermal we have conducted, only adiabatic is left. So adiabatic work done is basically given by P2 V2 minus P1 V1 by gamma minus 1. So this is the basically the work done, whatever the final state minus initial state divided by gamma minus 1. You can write in P1 V1 form also, but it comes out to be negative, so that will make you confused in the numericals. So that's why remember only the P2 V2 to become. If this value comes out to be positive, this means that work is done on the system. If this comes out to be negative, that is work done by the system. So all the work done we have covered in all the cases. One more thing I want to revise you: P1 V1 gamma is equals to P2 V2 gamma. Why I'm telling you, suppose in numericals it will give you the P1 at initial state, V1 at initial state, P2 at final state, and that's it. It asks you to calculate the work done. But in order to calculate the work done, V2 P2 V2 P1 V1 by gamma minus 1. Here we need to calculate the work done, we would be needing V2. So from this equation we will first find the V2 by solving this equation and then putting that equation in the work done, and then we would be able to find the actual work done. So that's why I'm reminding, this is also important formula for adiabatic process. Or if I'll write the general form, you can remember that this. So if you just revise this, P2 by P1 gamma minus 1 by gamma will be equal to V1 by V2, gamma minus 1 will be equal to T2 by T1. So that is most important. Only you can say that most important, you can say that this is most important. The most tricky questions basically come from this part itself, from the first law, you can say that. Fine. So if you remember this, we are basically in this part we are covering all the numericals, all the formulas, like formulas which will be used in numerical purpose, so that from here if I'll use that in numericals you will be able to revise this is how it has been achieved. So I'll again divide P2 by P1. The only P2 and T2 by T1 will be in the inverse form. V1 by V2 will be like reverse to P2 by P pressure and temperature. So it is here V1, not V2. Just remember this. In a hurry, people usually remember V2 by V1, and all the question will get in the wrong side of the part. So it's P2 by P1 by gamma minus 1 by gamma is equal to V1 by V2. Gamma minus 1 is equals to T2 by T1. Okay, one more type basically numericals comes. You can say that. I'll just make you revise. PV. Suppose this is isothermal. It is given, whatever it is given, and it is saying that find the work done from the graph itself. In isothermal, it is not possible to find the graph because it is very difficult to find the area. But I'm just giving you an example. So work done is basically area under PV curve. So how do you calculate the work done? If any PV diagram is given and any kind of figure is basically given in that graph, you just find the area under that curve or area under that line. That will give you the work done. Remember this, how to sometimes directly graph like representations comes in the question also. Next is also TS diagrams also come. So graph under the TS will give, so heat is given by area under TS curve. So if TS diagrams comes and the area which is drawn like under that curve will give you the heat energy. It will give you the heat. Heat is calculated by in TS diagram by area under, by calculating area under the curve, and work done is calculated by calculating area under the same curve but in PV diagram. Okay, fine. These two things I just want you to know. Our next part is that comes out to be second law of thermodynamics. It is second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics, basically in layman language, if I'll say, there is no system in the universe which can directly convert like the work done. Suppose if I'll take the heat engine, if I'll take the internal combustion engine that is used in cars and motorcycles, I'll say if the petrol, the heat energy of the petrol is given to that engine to give us the running or to make this engine rotate, to make the engine work done. But if we reverse, if we do that same work on that same engine, it will not give us the same heat energy in the output. So this means that system is not, these kind of systems are not reversible. And also it is to clarify the second law in more detail, there are two statements. I'll explain the statement wise. That is Kelvin-Planck's statement. This Kelvin-Planck statement states that there is no engine which can convert all of its heat into all of its work done. So this means Q is directly converted to work done. That is not possible. This means that there will always be some internal energy gain by that system. Means Q is definitely given to the system in the form of internal energy plus some work done is done by the system. So if we reverse that process, the work done cannot be achieved 100% of heat. So if we reverse this process by most efficient methods, then also only you can achieve something, you can say that 80% of Q. Okay, so this is what basically Kelvin second law statement states, that reversibility. It tells about the reversibility, you can say, or you can say that entropy. Basically what happens, this internal energy is gained by the surrounding in the form of entropy. That's why we cannot reverse W2 and Q directly into the heat. So so this is what Kelvin-Planck statement says. Next is Clausius statement. So what basically Clausius statement say? Clausius statement says that there is no process, or you can, it is not possible. All right, it is not possible. It is not possible to transfer heat from colder region to hotter. It is not possible to heat it is not possible to transfer heat from colder region to hotter region without any external equipment, without any external equipment, you can say. So you cannot just do like you cannot transfer heat from a colder region to hotter region without any external means. Like there is always, to make your room cooler, make your room more cooler, you must require an additional air conditioner. It is not possible to convert or to automatically convert the room into a colder region by itself. So definitely there is some equipment or some output is needed to make that room colder, which means that the heat from that room is basically given to the more hotter region in the outside. So that is basically Clausius statement means. It means basically refrigeration and air conditioner work on these Clausius statements. And Calvin Calvin Planck statement generally state that about the heat engines, you can say in simple layman language. Next comes out to be Carnot engine. This is the engine which is the most efficient. According to the second law, if I'll say that the most efficient engine which is available to us, and efficiency of this engine is given by minus T2 by T1. So this will be so temperature of initially the heat energy. See, if you are running an engine, so definitely heat is given to that engine. So initial temperature will be high. So T1 is 300 Kelvin and T2 is 100 Kelvin. So if this is the heat which is given, and after doing some work, the heat and the temperature of that heat will definitely get reduced, because that heat is converted into some work done. So T2 is the final heat and temperature, T1 is initial temperature. If you find that if you find the efficiency, it comes out to be you can say T2 100 by 300 0 100, that comes out to be 1 minus 0.33. So that comes out to be 0.67. So that is equals to 67%. Okay, so this is how. So this means that there is, to make it 100% efficient, you can to make it 100% efficiency, T2 by T1, like T2 must be equal to, you can say that must be equal to 0. T2 must be equal to 0. Like whatever temperature it has the temperature is like gained and has been reduced to 0 Kelvin. But it is not possible. It is not possible. That's why there is no system, there is no Carnot engine which is 100% efficient. Maximum efficiency you can achieve is like something which depends like on the temperature. If these are the temperature, then if these are the temperature conditions, you say that, like suppose 300 Kelvin is the initial heat and 100 Kelvin is the surrounding heat, because you can reduce maximum to the surroundings, right? If you go beyond the surrounding, you cannot go like temperature lower than your surrounding. While like suppose an engine is running, it cannot reduce the temperature to the colder than the surrounding. It will definitely have minimum temperature as equal to the surrounding. So T2 will always be equal to the surrounding temperature. If the engine is having some T temperature like 300 Kelvin, which is working at 300 Kelvin initially, and reduce its temperature to surrounding, which is not possible. Like temperature will always be warmer than the surrounding. But if we say that engine has achieved the temperature equivalent to the surrounding, then this engine is like maximum 67% efficiency. I think this much I made you clear that how this basically works. Efficiency definitely depends on the temperature difference, and what could be the maximum difference. If the maximum difference can only achieve when we lower the heat or the temperature of the engine similar to the surrounding. That is also not possible. But if we do that in that case the maximum efficiency of that engine is, in this case 300 and 100, is 67% efficient. So this is the Carnot engine. The Carnot engine is the maximum efficient engine working in this temperature range. As simple as that. Now this is the efficiency of engine. If I'll write COP, COP is the coefficient of, so it is known as coefficient of performance. So coefficient of performance, basically don't get confused, coefficient of performance is similar to as efficiency, but we cannot, it's like suppose for the air conditioner we don't calculate the efficiency of engine because it is working like opposite to the principles. It is making the room more colder and colder, like it is taking the heat from colder region to the hotter region. So that's why we don't use the efficiency, we will use the coefficient of performance. It is working against the engine principle, that's why we are using the coefficient of performance phenomena rather than efficiency. How the coefficient of performance is given, if I write, it is given as T2 by T1 minus T2. Okay, fine. So T2 is the final temperature, T1 is the initial temperature of that room. We will explain this in more details while doing the calculations. So for refrigerators it is used, for AC it is used, and for heat pumps this equation is used. So it is written as COP, and we basically calculate of COP in this way. COP value is always greater than 1. Okay, always greater than 1. The least efficient engine is having the COP equal to 1. It is opposite to the efficiency. Efficiency's maximum value, efficiency is always less than 1. Efficiency's maximum value is 1. Whatever 0.67 is coming in this form, it is less than 100%, and COP is always greater than 1. So we will do some like direct questions also on the cycle, on which cycle basically our normal system works. So on Carnot cycle, refrigeration, you can say that refrigeration or not. On Carnot cycle, basically air conditioners, and you can say heat pumps. These all work on Carnot cycle principle. Otto cycle. This will from your syllabus only the cycle like type of MCQs basically can come. To study in detail in engineering field when you go, or in scientific field you will go, the detail of these cycles you will study. Otto cycle, internal combustion engine. The engines of our motor vehicles are known as internal combustion engines. So our motorcycle vehicles engines works on Otto cycles. Next is Brayton cycle. Brayton cycle, gas turbine engines. Gas turbine engines, like engines of you can say engines of rockets or are jets, are air force jets. These were all gas turbine engines and which work on the principle of Brayton cycle. These are the different cycles. Cycle means some processes, like suppose in Brayton it works in constant pressure process. In this cycle, the energy, the work done by the process is actually conducted at the constant pressure, but here it is not. Otto cycle is totally, it works on the isentropic, adiabatic, reversal adiabatic process. And Carnot cycle you have studied, it is a different, like maximum efficient cycle. So these are the range. For the MCQ purpose, I've explained you. If I'll draw a diagram of Carnot cycle, is basically Carnot cycle. If I draw P V, so this is basically Carnot cycle, in which this is adiabatic process, or you can say isentropic process. This is isothermal process, and this is also adiabatic process, and this is also isothermal process. In this two processes are isothermal, in this other two processes are adiabatic. So this is the Carnot cycle. And the temperature to solve the numericals we will get from this initial stage and this final stage. We will discuss this in more details in the numerical part. So this is all about the thermodynamics, in the theoretical way, but we will practice the more numericals based on these conclusions in the part 2. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, then just comment that below and we will reply to that your doubt in the same section.